Hi and welcome to the channel. This is a very sad video because today we're selling a car, this car. So it's quite sad because we've had this car since 2016. It's a Volvo XC90 T8. Let's take a look at it. First though, we're going to drop it into hill descent mode or constant four-wheel drive. I don't think there is a hill descent mode. We're going to go into four-wheel drive and we're going to go down and just get a few shots of the car so you can take a look at it. Well, this time we've got a 2016 Volvo XC90 T8. Now, this car is quite special because this is a factory delivery vehicle. So it's New Zealand new, but we opted to collect it in Gothenburg in Sweden from the factory. And we did a factory collection and we did a factory tour. And we believe this is the only car in the Southern Hemisphere that has been factory collected. We spent a month and a half driving around Europe in this car. So Volvo put on some registration plates for us. We drove it from Sweden into Denmark, Germany, France, and then all the way back. And this car's had a very special trip. It did about 7,000 Ks, I think, in Europe. And then it got put on a ship and sent to New Zealand, where we purchased it as a brand new New Zealand new car from Archibald's New Zealand, and that's essentially where we ordered the car from. But let's take a little look around the car and I'll talk to you a bit about it. Okay, so first things first, personal plate does not come with the car. I've got some new plates which I'll show you in just a moment that will go on the car. So I'm going to go around it. We've done 90,000 kilometers in this car. It's not brand new. It's a plug-in hybrid car. So you plug it in and you also put petrol in it. So this is the side where the petrol goes. And of course I've got the car locked, so I can't show you that. Here we go, check that out. R design. Now this one's quite cool, Polestar engineered. I'll talk to you about that in a little minute. Essentially it means it's got the extra performance tuning from Volvo and Polestar at the time they were in partnership. And of course now we're familiar with Polestars. So like I said, plug-in hybrid. So on this side here, you've got a EV socket. You plug in, cable comes with it. I'll show you that. That comes in the boot. Let's just have a look in the boot here. Apart from my camera gear, it's got the cover. And if I just clear all my stuff away, you'll see it's got some Volvo mats which you can lay flat in here. And then also we have the 10 amp charger that comes with it. It's got the wall plug. So this is essentially got a New Zealand standard wall plug. You plug that in, and I think it probably takes about 4 hours maybe to charge up, and that will give you about 30 kilometers to 35 kilometers of range in the car. This is a Volvo tow bar. So essentially this goes on like that, and there's a pin that goes through there, and then there's the New Zealand trailer socket there. So very easy and completely removable should you don't want it. There are 12 volt sockets in the back. You've got a lift up and down if you want to raise or lower the car to make it easier to get groceries into. You've also got a tail operated control there, so you can automatically lower or raise the tailgate from your feet. That works quite well. And then touch controls for locking and unlocking the car. Folding mirrors. Bells & Wilkinson stereo system upgraded. You can see that. So it's the top spec version, and you will see a dash cam's installed. That dash cam is not included. This one has a sunroof. It's the R design specification. R design was the only one I believe that came in this bursting blue color, which is pretty awesome. 360-degree camera, parking sensors. Now I'm going to go around and just point out any blemishes that are on the car. Now they are, they're pretty minor things, and you're probably not even going to see them. There's a tiny little scratch there. It's probably going to buff out. There's a tiny stone chip there. Now the wheels are not perfect because it has done 90,000 Ks and there's a little bit of curb rashing around the wheels. This is totally to be expected. That's what it would look like brand new. And then you've got a little bit of curb rashing on that wheel. On this one, you've got a little bit of curb rashing around there, down here. The center parts of the wheels are all looking pretty good. The tires are good. They're Michelin Pilot Super Sports. Okay, looking at the rear, right passenger side, so once again there's a few little blemishes, there's some scuffs down there. The face of them is all good. This is all fixable, by the way, and if you're in Christchurch I recommend Elite Wheels can get that done for you if you want, but the reality is on our Christchurch roads it's going to happen again, so we've never had them done. These are exactly like they came from factory, but if you do get them done, that'll come up looking new again, should you want to do that. You know, I've just been coming down the hill, so there's a little bit of dirt and stuff on there. Still got the factory paint protection film on it. Got a tiny little scratch here, which I think will buff out. There is a tiny little dimple on it. Looks like someone's opened their door into it on the passenger side, but again, hardly noticeable. I'm getting very nitpicky now. Right, let's have a little look inside. Okay, so this is the driver's door, fully electric seats, forward, back, up, down, lumbar support. The leather here is where it usually wears on the driver's side. It's actually pretty good, to be honest. Obviously this is what it looks like brand new. Tiny little marks here. I mean, these will probably come out with a good clean, to be honest. Down here in the dash section, crystal gear shifter, really interesting story about that. We actually got to see the factory where they make these shifters in Sweden, which was quite cool, quite a cool experience. We just happened to wander in and there they were, getting made exclusively for Volvo. Back seat, this is a 7-seater car, so I've got 2 teenage daughters who, when we bought this car, were kind of about, I don't know, 8 and 10 kind of thing, and it's got the armrest that comes down in the middle, so you've got your cup holders. It's got a booster seat, so you can put a little booster into the center seat. That's awesome. These will go up and down. Then you've got controls to fold the seats just forward to get into the back seat, and then you can lift and flatten the seats completely. Okay, just coming around through the rear side again, little scuffs down there. Again, nothing you wouldn't expect on a car of this age. Rear air conditioning, very cool. All the controls are there for the rear passengers, and also there's vents there and there for the rear passengers, which makes it a very comfortable place to be, even for adults in the back. Although the very back, adults can get into it in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7th row. That's the plate that it will come with. Just been down to the vehicle place to get that. The glove box is quite interesting. There is a wine chiller option, so you can pull this out, turn the air conditioning, and it will chill your bottle of wine. Those Swedes think of everything. That is awesome. Car comes with 2 keys, both look exactly like this. And then jump in the car, hit start, car powers up. Also, the car comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and again there's just a plug down here in the armrest, and then that loads up. What's interesting about this infotainment system is we've actually got the most current XC40 Recharge, which has the Android based interface. This is not the Android based interface, this is a Volvo based one, and this was the first generation essentially, I believe, of this particular platform, and it's, you know, it's far more, what we've found is this is actually far more reliable than the current model. So there are things that just work really well under this platform that do not work the same in the newest Volvos. So for example, when you're in cruise control, which this has, it has a pilot assist system. So essentially you're driving along, you press this button and you go into pilot assist. If you pan to the right while you're driving, you change into just regular cruise control, where it's active cruise control following the vehicle that's in front and braking as necessary right down to a complete stop. But the thing is, you're quite often doing both. Like we live here in Cass Bay and we travel through Littleton Tunnel, every single day. In doing so, it's in the tunnel, you kind of want to have the pilot assist where the car is steering for you and it's also cruise controlling for you. But once you get out of the tunnel, you want to quickly go back to regular cruise control, and you can do it in this. In the new Volvos, you got to go into the menu, you got to toggle through several different settings, and then you got to change it between those two things. Also, this has CarPlay, whereas the current Volvo that we have does not have CarPlay yet. And Android Auto as well, which we use extensively, even though it does have its full mapping software as well. Lane keeping aids, parking assist, cross traffic alerts. Now the 360 camera is pretty cool. Here it is, just down here on the beach. If I just take it up top, I'll just chuck my seatbelt on. Remember, Volvo invented that 3-point safety harness. I'm just going to put it back into all-wheel drive, and then we'll just cruise up this incredibly steep hill. There's a lot of young, shall we say, young people that come here at night, and they think they can come down this boat ramp, and they've got their two-wheel drive cars, and they get stuck here. And they want me to come and pull them out, but that ain't going to be happening. But I wanted to show you this 360 camera because I'm driving around here, and you can see some road markings as I go. I mean, this is pure gold when it comes to parking. So let's say I'm going to go into that park. It's very hard to do it with one hand holding the camera, but you know, really simple for me to line up and get that absolutely perfect. So I say that as I'm steering with one hand. I'll try this. There you go. Superb. The most common mode that this car runs in when you first switch it on is called pure eco drive. So what that does is essentially the battery pack will work in conjunction with the petrol motor, and it's a hybrid vehicle at that point. So you charge up the car at night. In the morning you've got your 30 k's of range, and then what happens is you progressively use some of the petrol, some of the battery in the most optimal way. So if you're sort of flooring the car and really trying to give it the jandle, I think is what they call it here, then you're going to go through that battery very quickly and start just referring to petrol. But if you're just doing a normal thing like a school run, you'll get a combination of your energy being used and distributed between battery and power. When you get home, you plug it in again and it charges. One of the other modes though is called Polestar Engineered. Now this is the kind of one you want if you want the full performance out of this car and you want to do a bit of performance driving with better handling. Everything about the car has been fine-tuned for performance in this particular mode. So I'm going to drive it in Polestar Engineered mode. We don't normally drive it in this mode, I have to say, but I will now because it is quite fun. This particular mode will give you 0 to 100 in about 5 seconds, which is pretty insane for a 7-seater. And in this mode, what it's doing is the car is constantly keeping the battery charged through the motor is actually charging the battery, and then using the battery and the petrol at the same time to give you optimal performance from the car. So tickle the accelerator and away you go. It's just rearing to go in this particular mode. The road between Cass Bay and Littleton is absolutely appalling. It's got bumps. I mean, most New Zealand roads are actually appalling, to be fair, particularly the rural type roads, but these ones are shockers. But the thing is, this Volvo, because it's got air suspension, it just soaks up all these bumps beautifully. And even though it's got those big 22-inch, I think, wheels, it still soaks up the bumps just beautifully. And it's, I'm not going to say buttery smooth, but it's pretty damn smooth for a car like this. It's very comfortable. My entire family will attest that this is easily the most comfortable car that we have. And we've done just under 90,000 kilometers in this car. So we're pretty experienced with it. Okay, and away we go again. Another thing that this car has, and this was an option I believe that we probably ticked, is this, let's see if you can see it, is this heads-up display. Now, this heads-up display tells you the speed that you're doing, and it also tells you, and reads the road signs. So that's very cool. It's not using maps to do that, it's actually reading the road signs as we go past them. I'm sort of, as I'm driving by, I'm looking at things and I'm remembering all the joy of this car. You can probably sense it in my voice. I mean, one of the things that this has, you can see that windscreen washer there, right? I've just cleaned the car, so I don't really want to put the wipers on, but when you do put the front windscreen wipers on this car, the washers, or don't squirt up from the car like they do in most places. They don't squirt up from the dashboard. They actually squirt from inside the wiper blades. Now, that kind of level of detail is awesome because you don't end up squirting water all over the car into the car behind you. You literally target the water precisely onto the screen, which is where it needs to be. I mean, that is so cool. But I wanted to go into the tunnel here and show you this cruise control that we use every single day. So basically, what you do is you touch this button here, and now I'm actually on active cruise control. If I just pan it across to the right, so this vehicle brings up a little picture of the steering wheel, and then it turns green when it locks onto the road, and boom. You're not supposed to do this, of course, so I'm not condoning or saying that you should, but you don't actually have to be touching the wheel. For up to, I think, 30 seconds, I'm going to just keep holding onto the wheel, making sure I'm touching it, but the car is actually fully steering at this point. And you can actually also see it in the heads-up display. You can see the green steering wheel to show that the car is steering for you. And it's not just steering, it's also keeping the speed set to what I've actually set it at. When we picked up this car and we drove it through Europe, we did get to drive it on the German Autobahn, so no speed limits. Now, that's amazing. Amazing experience if you ever get to do it. The roads are superb, and the drivers' skills are also superb, which is so much fun. Anywho, we were driving along 150, 160 kilometers an hour on the Autobahn. We basically had cruise control running, and there's cars in front of us, there was cars behind us, and everyone was nicely spaced out, etc., etc. But I mean, you're doing 150 k's an hour. Now, what happened is, 2 cars ahead of us, there was a nose-to-tail incident on the Autobahn at 150 kilometers per hour. Now, I couldn't see it because the 2 cars ahead were just too far ahead to see that was happening. But immediately the car's LiDAR system and radar system detected that there was an accident 2 cars ahead, and that those cars had suddenly started to slow down. All 4 of us had our seatbelts pull in super tight. The car then immediately starts to brake. I'm wondering what the heck is going on, and then I notice the car's already ahead of me, and as it started to brake, the car in front of me starts to brake. The car behind me obviously is thinking, what the heck is going on? Because what tends to happen when you slam on your brakes really quickly, one of the biggest injuries that you get is actually whiplash from the car behind you hitting you. So, I'm probably telling you how to suck eggs, but essentially if you ever have to slam your car's brake on quickly, one of the first things you need to do is glance in your rear vision mirror and make sure no one's right behind you, because if they are, that's your problem right there, not the one in front of you. Anyway, the car had taken over at this stage. By now I'm jumping on the brake and I'm squeezing the life out of the brake to stop, but I'm watching the car in front of me, and what I'm noticing is the brake is actually feathering itself underneath my foot. Like, it's literally coming on and off as we all slow down. And the reason for that is this car could see the car behind me was approaching too quickly, and the car in front was also slowing down. So essentially it was making a sandwich, and we were in the middle of that sandwich, and it was ensuring that we were coming to a stop so that the car in front and the car behind were evenly spaced between me. And when we got out of the car after we'd come to a complete stop and had a look around at what the heck had just happened, there was about a metre or two's gap between the front car and the back car, and we were perfectly between the two. Absolutely no damage whatsoever, completely safe. Look, if there was ever an ad for Volvo and its safety systems, that was it. I mean, we were completely convinced after that this car has got enough capability when it comes to safety. Another good thing about this car, it's got not one, not two, but 3 memory positions for the seats. Now this is actually really good if your child is driving the car from time to time and you and your partner are driving the car, because we literally use all 3 of those drive settings, 1, 2 and 3. Quite a small detail, not available on the latest Volvo that we have, and we really start to notice these things when we've upgraded. Well, we thought we've upgraded to the latest Volvo, but actually we've upgraded to a pure electric Volvo, which is awesome, but we've lost a lot of this functionality in the meantime, and I don't know, that's a shame. That's really cool stuff. Anyway, that's my video on the XC40 T8 plug-in electric vehicle Volvo. Very cool car. It's for sale. Please, if you've got any questions about it, please let me know. I'm going to sell this as a dollar reserve auction. I love dollar reserve auctions. I think the market decides what the car is actually worth. We know what the car is obviously worth, but the market is really the only true way of telling what your item is worth. So I love the dollar reserves, and that's it. So please subscribe to the channel if you like cars and car things. This is not a typical review. It's actually just a special review so that we could show the car, but it's a special car, and it's very sentimental to us because we've taken the family for 90,000 Ks in it and driven it around Europe, and we've driven it around New Zealand, and that's very, very cool. And the new owner of this car is going to love it. We love it. They're going to love it. It's a very, very cool car.